If you're on the fence about spending a decent chunk of cash on a recording kit, I get it. You've probably tried a cheap lav mic that cut out mid-interview, or you've wrestled with a field recorder that never seemed to sync up with your camera. The fear of ending up with a bundle that looks great on the box but ends up gathering dust is real, especially when you're trying to capture professional-grade interviews for podcasts, documentaries, or even corporate videos. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What makes the TASCAM FR-AV4 plus DR-10L Pro bundle different is that it's built around a specific workflow. You record the main mix on the FR-AV4, while a separate talent mic on the DR-10L captures a clean, isolated track that you can pull out later. The two Bluetooth adapters, AIC BT2 for the FR-AV4 and AIC BT1 for the DR-10L, let you sync the devices wirelessly, which means you can set up a two-person interview without having to run a cable between the recorder and the talent mic. That's the kind of hidden trade-off many kits overlook. Most bundles give you the hardware but leave the syncing to a manual process. For a typical interview scenario, say you're sitting in a coffee shop with a guest, you'd mount the FR-AV4 on a tripod or a small rig, connect a shotgun or a stereo mic, and start recording the ambient sound and any side conversation. The talent holds the DR-10L clipped to their lapel, and thanks to the AIC BT1, that recorder talks to the FR-AV4 over Bluetooth, keeping both machines locked to the same timecode. When you get to editing, you have a full track and a clean voice track, which makes cleaning up background noise a breeze. If you've ever tried to pull a single voice out of a noisy environment with just one mic, you'll know why that matters. Who should consider this bundle? If you produce regular interview-style content, podcast episodes, YouTube talk shows, field documentaries, or even corporate testimonial videos, this system saves you a lot of post-production headache. The separate talent recorder is especially handy when the interviewee moves around a bit. The mic stays close to their mouth, so you don't have to chase the boom operator. It's also a good fit for a small crew that needs to stay mobile. The Bluetooth adapters mean you don't have to lug around a tangled mess of XLR cables, which is a plus for anyone who's had to set up in cramped spaces like a car interior or a tight studio corner. Who might skip it? If you're just looking for a single-channel recorder for solo voiceovers, a simple USB mic, or you only need to capture ambient sound without any separate talent track, this bundle is overkill. The same goes for people who prefer a fully wired, hardwired sync for absolute reliability in noisy RF environments. Bluetooth can occasionally hiccup if you're in a crowded wireless space, like a conference hall with multiple Wi-Fi networks. Also, if you already own a high-end field recorder and just need a lav mic, you might be better off buying the DR-10L Pro alone and pairing it with your existing gear. On the practical side, the biggest strength here is the integrated workflow. The TASCAM Recorder Connect app lets you control key functions like start/stop, level monitoring, and even file naming from your phone. That means you can stay out of the way of the interview and still keep an eye on the levels, which is a real time saver. The Bluetooth adapters are also plug-and-play. You pop them into the appropriate ports, pair with the app, and you're ready to roll. Because the FR-AV4 supports multi-channel recording, you can capture up to 4 tracks simultaneously, giving you flexibility if you decide to add a second mic later without buying a whole new recorder. The weaknesses are subtle but worth noting. First, the Bluetooth link, while convenient, does add a small layer of latency. In most interview contexts, you won't notice it, but if you plan to do live mixing or real-time monitoring on headphones, you might experience a slight delay between what you say and what you hear. Second, the DR-10L Pro's internal battery life is decent but not endless. You'll need to keep an eye on it during long shooting days, especially if you're using the Bluetooth module continuously. Finally, the bundle doesn't include any windscreens or shock mounts for the lav mic, so you'll have to source those separately if you're filming outdoors or on a windy set. In real-world use, the bundle shines when you need that clean, voice-only track without sacrificing the atmosphere of the room. I've seen content creators take a single interview recorded with this setup and end up with a final product that feels both intimate and polished, something that would have taken hours of noise reduction with a single mic. The ability to adjust each track's EQ or compression independently in post makes the final mix sound professional, even if you're working on a laptop with basic software. If you're still debating whether the price tag matches the benefit, think about the